bonfire is blazing so bright, calling the fight from the ancient lands. We stand from dawn to twilight, the empires rise and conquer. In the wild phase of danger, carry on to the victory. You better take a deep breath, each dawn it brings a bitter fight. Another chill may run down your spine, fear lurks beyond the edge of sight. Carry on to the glory, to the great victory. Never give up till you die, never give up in this life. For every word that you win bright, it's time to become. Never give up on your mind, hold your weapons, strive and fight. For every kingdom that falls and rise, it's time to become legendary. Chaos to sharpen your knife, make way to find your destiny. Worship a man or a shrine, can both recall a scattered. In the wild sound of war drums, tearing down all the enemies. You better capture the arcs, the carriers may bog you down. Set up with us with this ride, sneaky Texas work as a best alive. Carry on to the glory, to the great victory. Never give up till you die, never give up in this life. For every word that you win bright, it's time to become. Never give up on your mind, hold your weapons, strive and fight. For every kingdom that falls and rise, it's time to become legendary. Across the ancient lands, stories will be told. How you struggle, how you try to define the world. With a sacred name, you are the one chosen to start up the storm. Never give up till you die, never give up in this life. For every word that you win bright, it's time to become. Never give up on your mind, hold your weapons, strive and fight. For every kingdom that falls and rise, it's time to become legendary.
Hello, governors. Welcome to week number 2 of the Grand Prix here in 2024. I am here with Dirty Dan. Happy to be here with you, man. It's been a while.
Yes. Reunited, and it feels so good. How's it going, brother?
I'm doing pretty well, and I am your host, Plato Gaming caster and content creator for Rise of Kingdoms. And today, the Grand Prix, super exciting matchup that we have going on. We have 466W versus 261K. But for those that are new here to the stream, the Grand Prix is the pinnacle of competitive Osiris League, where the best of the best teams from both the international server and the Chinese server get to compete to prove themselves as the best team in Osiris League in the world. And the matchup that we have today are actually two titans coming from the Chinese server, where 466W is the sister team of 466S, a team that we watched yesterday beat 1188 HJK, and they have qualified to the Grand Prix through the qualifier stage as a top 4 team in the realm of best set. Meanwhile, 261K also hails from the Chinese server and is known for their unconventional strategies. They are here representing the realm of Anubis as the realm champion. So will 466W make it to the winners bracket like its sister team, or will 261K take the next step towards being the Grand Prix champions? Dirty Dan, what are you thinking of this matchup?
If it is anything like that 732A and 60GT match yesterday, we're in for an extremely interesting match. This is actually going to be the first set of Chinese server teams that I'm getting a chance to cast, and really kind of get a deep dive look into. But just queuing back to that 7-3-2-8 match yesterday, just really seeing some things that I think are a little bit unconventional from what we see in the international server. So I'm curious to see if we see that translate into these two giants from within the Chinese server going head to head with each other today. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We've seen some pretty crazy games thus far into the Grand Prix here, where 732A beat 60GT, 489 beat 27WP, and we will have to see like how those losses and how this bracket will shape up. Making it to the losers bracket, even though you do have another chance, these teams are the best of the best, and if you lose, you're gonna have to face eventually the likes of a 60GT 489 because they did lose yesterday. So it is going to be so interesting to see how these teams decide to face off against each other and see how they decide to make it to round two.
Yeah, agreed. And kind of queuing back to what you were saying, I mean, right now the Chinese server is definitely looking to have the edge on the international server. So I believe last year the international server, from what you were saying on the stream with Chiz, the international server seemed to hand it to the Chinese server a little bit last year. And I think the Chinese server teams kind of took that seriously. A lot of people in chat's been saying that these Chinese server teams have been practicing 3 to 4 times a week to get ready for this Grand Prix, which is honestly an insane amount of preparation. I don't think I've really heard of many other teams practicing 3 to 4 times a week. So these Chinese teams are legit. They're coming to bring it, and we're getting really 2 hot Chinese server teams going head to head today.
Yeah, as you said, the practice. And there's something special about the Grand Prix, especially beginning last year where we introduced the Chinese server teams, because you're not only representing your alliance, you're not only representing your kingdom, but this time you are also representing your servers. And so far, the international teams are getting served by the Chinese server teams. We'll have to see how the rest of the bracket turns up. But today will be a mirror, well, not a mirror matchup, but rather friendly fire for the Chinese servers, having these 2 Chinese server teams. I mean, do you have any predictions as to how this game will go, Dirty Dan?
I honestly, I did not get a chance to look back on those initial casts from last week to really kind of get a peek and an in-depth look on some of these Chinese server teams. I am going to be watching 261K. Just from what we're being told here, from them having some unconventional strategic choices, I think the trend right now in this Grand Prix is unconventional seems to kind of be edging out the wins. And I just can't help but kind of cue back to the match yesterday that you and Chiz casted in the later portion with 7-3-2-A and 60GT. I mean, you're talking about a legacy team in the international server, the number 2 team from this past year in our Osiris League, and they kind of got made look silly yesterday. Just going for those second and third mid arc fights and just kind of letting 60GT just take those fights and focusing more on a building game and just kind of playing mind games with 60GT. So I'm really going to be looking at 261K and some of these unconventional strategic techniques that they're going to bring to the fold. And I think part of the reason why I'm going to be looking at that so much too is because of the impact that I think the 7-3-2-A match had yesterday. And you and Chiz were kind of calling out that we might be looking at a new meta with this opening to the death on the very first arc, and just really looking to set the tempo by claiming that arc, and then just kind of having free will to do whatever you want from within the match from that point on.
Yes, sir. As we get into the match, we have 466W in the top side here versus 261K in this bottom side. Man, Dirty Dan, this is first game of the day, bright and early for us in the East Coast, but we are here 20 seconds until the gate spawns. We'll have to see what these new tactic, these unconventional strategy shenanigans are gonna be as the gate spawns in 10 seconds. I will say, Diddy Dan, I feel like the Chinese servers have a ton of pressure, a ton of priority on the inner lanes. They send a lot of people towards these desert altars.
Okay.
And we'll have to see if they decide to do that here as well. Energetic used by both teams as the gate has fallen. You can see the speedy double C marches coming out.
It's an interesting call out on those inner lanes, because I mean, even when we were casting in our Osiris League, we always kept bringing up the outer lanes, and that kind of outer lane play that a lot of these teams are kind of starting to adapt, and kind of forcing teams to pick, if you want to prioritize that outer lane or get to arc a little bit late. And even yesterday on casting GV77 and 93T, I saw a lot of that yesterday, where it was really going after those outside lanes. So it's going to be a nice change of pace today, for me at least, to watch a lot more inner lane play.
Yeah, they would start off over indexing, like in this opening in the desert altar side, and then because they won the inner lane so heavily, their Bird Ball was actually super healthy to go ahead and attack the Sky Altars, go ahead and attack the Shrine of Life. So we'll have to see how these teams decide to play that, because we could see that they put the sentries right on top of the gates so that they could see exactly how many marches are going to the bottom side, how many marches are going to the top side. Mirrored sentries from both teams here. This is not a sentry that we usually see in international server play.
Not at all. Yeah, this is already in just like the first 5 minutes of this match, just looking extremely different to me. And it's interesting too to kind of take that, like, now we always kind of talk about min-maxing approach kind of when it comes to like an account status, but these guys taking a min-max approach when it comes to some strategic moves in the field.
Yeah, we could see some Ashermonopause out in the field, some Herman prime areas out in the field, getting the marches out there as fast as possible. You could see kind of a more balanced approach from these two teams. I feel like they are sending, there's actually quite a couple of units in this outer lane for 261K going towards their shrine, their Sky Altar rather.
Going for that defensive approach on that top side, making sure that they can secure that altar.
I will say, you could see that both teams are very practiced. These sentries are pretty much mirrored, except for this extra sentry from 261K in next to the obelisk. Instead of that, the sentries here are absolutely mirrored. The one sentry though, a defensive sentry, so that they could go ahead and take out the offensive sentry from 261K coming out from 466W. A little bit of sentry warfare going on here. The desert,
love it.
The top side desert altar. This is going to be a very interesting fight, because the murder ball is so far ahead for 466W. Meanwhile, the 261K murder ball looking pretty thin compared to the numbers that are streaming in. This is a pretty peculiar spot to start the murder ball fight. Usually you have it closer to the desert altar, but the tempo of 466W on this top side definitely going towards their favor. As we start to see 466W seeing that they have the numbers advantage, going in and opting into this murder ball fight. The rally was also broken on top of the murder ball as reinforcements.
There you go. Yeah, I think this first initial fight is probably going to go to 466W. There was definitely a lot more numbers that I was seeing there, and it was kind of an interesting opening there too, to kind of, you know, as you said, kind of splitting on that top side and having a little bit of a smaller murder ball going up against that you know, titan of a murder ball for 466W.
Yeah, as I was talking about the Chinese servers yesterday, this is a very similar situation where they sent pretty much their whole top side towards this Desert Altar fight, wiped the murder ball, and are now sweeping towards the Sky Altar to wipe the second part of the murder ball. So
It's good rotation.
When you have an overwhelming amount of numbers, the trades are just so positive that you could continue, you know, fighting these opponents here. Now they are going towards the Sky Altar. If we look at the rest of the map, they actually took over the Desert Altar in this bottom side as well. So absolutely a really bad start from 261K.
Yeah, they're going to have to recover quickly on this one. I think as we've seen throughout many of these ARC matches, if you don't key in on these openings, these opening 15 to 20 minutes, and you fall behind significantly, it's quite the challenge to climb back in these matches, especially against teams that are just so polished.
Yeah. That the first occupation points, especially in your home structures, are crucial. The altar is giving, I believe, 750 points. The shrine's giving 400 points, making sure that you have all of that under control. It does look like they were able to take the Sky Altar of 466W, at least a trade to the Desert Altar control that 466W have on their Desert Altar. So even though the start looked pretty dicey, it is a pretty even map state at this point, with the two altars just trading sides.
A little bit of a trade-off there. Now it's going to be kind of that race to, you know, start your mid rotations, starting now or within the next minute or so. Right around that 5.5 minute mark is usually when we start to see teams starting to recycle into the middle.
Yeah, the initial murder ball from 466W, by the way, is still around the Sky Altar, just continuing to swarm it down. But kudos to 261K, though. At least the Sky Altar has not fallen yet. 1 minute until first occupation points. Will they be able to fill this structure up? They have some reinforcements coming in, but I do not know if this is enough. I will say the murder ball around this is pretty low. You could see that they are starting to sad face onto this structure. As you were talking about, Dirty Dan, the tempo for mid, making sure that you could sad face, because, you know, sad face marches walk a lot faster than a fully healthy march. Making sure that you have that tempo going towards that middle side, as 4 minutes 40 seconds until arc spawns.
Yeah, 261 doing a really good job on that altar, just making sure it stays reinforced. You don't have to do anything too flashy, or just keep kind of filling it. And it's been interesting to see the garrison choices too. Is still a lot of Eleanors, a lot of Heracleuses from what I've been seeing. Is there any key points on garrisons that you want to call out? I don't think I've seen too many Gorgo plays, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, it has been Eleanor and Heracleus centric for these garrisons.
Yeah.
Just the movement speed of Eleanor, being able to, you know, be that cav garrison with the Heracleus behind it, so you can fill with anything. But majority of the open field marches, as we can see, are cavalry. So having a cavalry garrison, especially since she's super strong as a garrison, is super good for your structure. You could see that these Eleanors have been holding out really well in these structures. So what they usually do is that they have the garrison be full cav, so that they get from point A to point B as fast as possible, and then they fill with the cav marches, and just making sure that, you know, it has that calf buff, but you can fill with anything. The Heraclius being that full mix counter, I feel like is a bit more squishy, but you know, it does work as a garrison as well. But I've seen Eleanor be the top priority, with Heraclius and YSS being that secondary priority.
Yeah, everything's so crucial in these matches with the timings. I mean, it's such a timing thing. So the faster you are on the field, the better off you're pretty much always going to be.
As the structures have stabilized, I will say it is a slight win to 466W because they were able to get the first occupation points on 261K's Desert Altar. Meanwhile, the first occupation points are still up for grabs for their home Sky Altar, which is what they traded. So they will be up by about 750 points. By about 1.5k points actually, because it is 750 points that they took away from 261K, 750 points that they've gained for themselves. So, you know, just a small advantage, about 1.5k can mean the difference between winning and losing Ark of Osiris, as we've seen in these close matches we've had in the Grand Prix so far.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, look, the points always mattered, but when you're talking about Grand Prix, I mean, these are like literally the best of the best teams that we're going to see going at it. And every point is going to matter, just like those 7,000 provision points yesterday from 732A, which is quite crazy. I've never seen that many provision points before.
Yeah, I mean, when you have 15 provisioners out in the open field, I feel like that's how you get 7k in provisions in an Ark match. As you can see, the mid rotations coming up from both teams. There is a sentry on top of a sentry, so they can make 466W blind here, but it's not a full rotation from both teams. Both teams have these outer lane individuals just continuing to pressure these structures. You can see that there's a lot of marches coming out from 466W to defend the Sky Altar, making sure that they secure the first occupation on the Sky Altar here, which it looks like they should. Yeah, they did secure first occupation, so you could see the score difference, 5.1k to 4k. And then they are also pressuring the Sky Altar on this top side as well. What this means, though, is that they should hypothetically have less marches mid, although they are, they being 261k, they are pressuring the Sky Altar, but the Sky Altar did flip for 466W. That's actually a huge flip. We'll have to see how this plays out middle.
Yeah, this is already looking like unfamiliar territory for me. Just not seeing a full commit onto mid is very, very weird to me, but I totally understand it. I mean, when you have the ability to put pressure on building game, and you know, if you have all 4 altars in hand, just accumulating points for you, it's just massive. So it's going to be quite interesting to see going forward the kind of pace that these teams are setting. As I think the Ark is spawning. Yep, there we go.
The Ark has spawned already, and the mid fight just started. So a very, very late mid fight. Someone actually already got the Ark from 466W.
Yeah, usually we see in the internationals probably about a minute to 30 seconds. You'll see those fights engage, but this was like almost, you know, oh, Ark spawn, let's go now, you know.
But this double C, by the way, super speedy, and I believe that 261K are winning the mid fight, but the Ark is positioned in 466W's control. If this double C gets the pull, that'd be absolutely huge for them. And it looks like they do have the advantage in terms of timing. Double C instantly swarmed down though. And you can see that this is playing out to what we were talking about earlier, Dirty Dan, is that 466W indexed into the structures there. Meanwhile, 261K, even though they lost and their Sky Altar flipped, they were able to get this Ark control. So in all honesty, I feel like 261K are going to take that trade pretty happily here, because they did lose the Sky Altar for about 3 minutes. That's minus 450 points, but they were at least able to take back the Sky Altar pretty fast and wipe middle, get full arc control here.
And now they're in the driver's seat, right? I was kind of keying in on it yesterday during one of the matches. I mean, yes, arc is points, and points are going to win you the match, but it's so much more valuable in terms of just being able to dictate what the match is going to be for the rest of this thing. You know, are they going to hold it? Are they going to cash it? When they do cash it, you know, are they going to make sure that their points are full compared to the other teams? Like, there's just so much control that comes with having the arc. So it is going to be interesting to see how 261K is going to react with having this arc, and how 466W now is going to try to answer back after losing this first mid arc fight.
Yeah, equal amount of points I believe were used. We had Bog Down, we had Total Vision being the skill differentiator, but I feel like the biggest differentiator was the amount of marches middle. 261K are going to be super happy with that. And the problem with contesting middle with a mid fight is if you lose that, then you lose so much pressure, you lose so much tempo that you could have been using attacking structures, you could have been using doing other things on the map. And because 261K won that arc, they have full reigns, full control of this match right now. Even though they are down by 1.3k now, but they do have 3.5k in the bank, as well as stabilized structures.
Yep, and as I always like to do after a first mid arc fight, I like to take a little quick peek, see if there's any provisioners. There's a couple on the side for 261K that I can see, and also on the side for 466W as well. So both teams getting the provisioners going to some extent here. So there will be some point accumulation at the end of all this for the provision scores.
Yeah, I mean, like the provisioners have made the difference in some of these matches that we've watched so far. I will say that some provisioners usually come out after the second mid fight. So we'll have to see if they decide to bring out the gatherers then. The map state looking very, very even. Just this pendulum swinging back and forth, but not swinging enough for structures to fall. You can see the point differential right now, 560 to 590. I'm gonna guess that is one outpost that was taken. Yeah, every building in the game right now is generating points except for this one outpost from 466W's side. So very, very even game states on the structures, which will go into 261K's favor because they won the mid fight.
Yeah, and honestly, really good job from them. I mean, we saw the kind of little bit of a number advantage, and as you were saying too, they lost the Sky Altar, but it wasn't for long. They're able to capture it back quickly, and I think that's kind of really all you want to ask for. Even if you're, that mid fight's going to be a little bit questionable, you just don't want to lose all your structures, right? And that's kind of what we saw with 60GT yesterday, with losing all 4 altars, and all 4 of those altars I think started to generate points for 732A. That is just the position that you don't want to be in, and 261 doing a really good job of avoiding that, stabilizing the structure game while also capturing that first arc. So great job by them.
And a correction, it is 3k for the first arc, so 3k in the bank. We look at the lead, it is 1.2k, so the effective lead right now is about 1.8k with the arc in hand here. And you could see how disciplined these teams are. Look at the low health marches that they're keeping on the open field so that they can't refresh, and they're running away. They're running away like it's T1 marches, just making sure that they cannot refresh on the marches. So 466W, being the sister team of 466S, looking like they're in the back foot because of the discipline by 261K.
You gotta love it. If anyone in chat, if you are any kind of arc enthusiast, those are the plays that kind of make like a coach or a planner just smile from ear to ear, right? That's things, just easy fundamentals that we talk about, and kind of like along the lines like you said, Plato, like just having that discipline, because it is very easy to just get into that like that war frenzy and just let's kill, let's clear from the field. But great diligence there.
there is so much skill that comes into March selection in Arc of Osiris, and that's the micro that isn't really talked about too much in Arc of Osiris, where you definitely don't want you definitely want to keep the marches that don't have too much of a debuff pretty low so that they cannot refresh. So this XY is gonna stay alive for quite some time, and it'll be whittled down by AoE, but it won't get targeted down, because as your march gets lower and lower and lower, it does less and less damage. So you being out in the open field actually doesn't really matter as much when your march is low. And if you are out in the open field really low, it's detrimental to you, because you want to be, you know, pretty healthy and to refresh and to sad face so that you could get back out there. So what teams will do, what the top teams will do, is that they'll whittle down a march to red and then start targeting another march so that you do not have the chance to refresh here. As we start to see the rally coming in, I believe it is a CPO A with Pakal going into the Eleanor with Heraclius. Will 261K get the reinforcements in there? I think they should have this. They should be able to hold this, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, they do look to have a little bit of that control, and I think we've been seeing a lot of the Scipio A from these Chinese server teams. I think just trying to sustain the tank on the garrison to, you know, just keep just pure counterattack damage on the Stormer marches for as long as possible.
Yeah, if this is a good play from them, able to hold. I will say they did lose their Desert Altar in this bottom side. We've been in this top side for so long. The bottom side for 466W seems to be, at least from what I've seen, seems to be where they're finding some semblance of success here. Able to take the Desert Altar and flip it so that 261K does not gain points from it, but they did also lose their home Desert Altar on the flip side of things. So Desert Altars being, you know, not being held by both teams here kind of highlights that inner lane focus that we were talking about earlier, Dirty Dan, as the Arc is just sitting here.
You saw that?
They had, I believe they had, 466W had someone snipe the Arc carrier, but it's right next to the cities of 261K, so it should be pretty safe for them.
It's almost ideal, right? Because you kind of now free up that march that's just kind of sitting with it. It is a risky play. It's a little risky, not gonna lie. Like, it kind of puts me on the edge of my seat there a little bit.
Yeah.
But it is nice that it's in a good position, as you were saying. So they just gotta make sure that no one from 466W takes that arc.
I mean, if the reason they don't have an arc carrier is to free up one march, that is the most efficiency driven like thing I've seen in Arc of Osiris.
Hey, they were saying 261 being unconventional, and I guess that's one one way to go about it right there.
I will say though, because 466W tapped the arc, it does reset the timer. So now if you look at the top left, there is 15 minutes yet again. Yeah. So now that second mid fight is going to be so delayed. If 261K decides to do so and delay that mid fight, and honestly, with how evenly structures have been, I'm not too sure why they wouldn't. I'm expecting to see a lot of provisioners come out now, and you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 provisioners coming in from 261K. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 provisioners, 6 provisioners coming in from 466W. So both teams, knowing that this second arc fight will essentially be super delayed, now bring out the provisioners, because the buildings outside of these Desert Altars have been pretty stable. Yeah,
just flipping back and forth and kind of being even. And I think probably it's just going to be a 2-arc match now, right, Plato? I would assume.
Yeah, this should be a 2-arc match, unless 261K decide capture the arc early. I mean, they have full control of what happens middle. I will say though, this is not over for 466W. the map and the score looking pretty even. It is a 1.3k differential between these two teams, so there is still an avenue for 466W to come back. They could, if they continue flipping these structures, they could even out the game that way. If they capture the next arc, they should be in a position to win as well. So this game is still up for grabs for both teams.
Yeah, indeed. And I think the next arc, whenever we do see it, is going to be very intense. You're really going to need to be composed on whoever's using the skills in the middle, because it's going to come down to that skill usage. I think we'll probably see an all-in call. I would hope we see an all-in call on that next arc whenever it does decide to spawn, or when 261 decides to cash, I should say. But yeah, there's been just even trades all over the place on this map, just flipping structures, kind of exchanging, and then go back, retake the structure. So it is quite even right now. So this next arc and the provisioners is going to mean a lot.
Yeah, I mean, they're trading, they're holding structures, they have the exact same amount of provisioners out. Everything about this game has been pretty even. We could look at the occupation score. The only difference being the first occupation, honestly, with the score being 11.9 to 10.5. I mean, I guess that the biggest difference, honestly, Dirty Dan, is the first occupation score that 466W were able to steal away from 261K.
Yeah, it was the extra altar, I believe.
Yeah, the extra desert altar. So that's 1.5k differential between the two teams. If that desert altar was taken by 261K, this game would pretty much be even. So these two teams have been going back and forth. The structure's not falling. And I think that's why there's so many provisioners just out and about. You can see there's just wandering Joan of Arcs meandering out in the fields of Osiris, just trying to find any semblance of caravans, of camels out there. Because that's the only way you could get an advantage right now, because both teams have been so evenly matched.
Yeah, and I think also too, just to have like the wherewithal, right? Like the planners and the coaches, whoever's doing the call outs, like just to know that, oh, we reset the arc timer. Okay, we have to get provisions out. Just having that kind of game sense to know what their next step is. And one thing I'm kind of curious on too, Plato, is with this match being so even, it kind of leads to think, who's going to make the first mistake, right? Who's going to make that first kind of blunder? Obviously first arc is already in hand, but just on these building switch flips, it just kind of keep going back and forth. Like who's going to maybe not put in a garrison on an advanced structure at one time, or, who's not going to fill properly. So I'm really curious to see if anyone's going to make that blunder, or if these teams are just really going to kind of skate it through and just play it even. And if they do, that just shows great composure, because with it being so tight, every single move that you make matters. Oh man, it's I mean, we kind of like, as you're alluding to, we're used to seeing it with altars, but not on the level of shrines. Like this is some kind of match that we're watching here.
Yeah, the trade of shrines is absolutely insane, just 1 minute apart. I will say this desert altar take pretty big coming out from 466W, and this is what we were talking about. They need, because they're the ones without the Ark of Osiris, they're the ones that need to kind of continue making this gap so that they could make up for the arc that they lost. If you look at the differential, it's still at 1.5k, but because of this desert altar flip, it will amount to at least 300 points taken away from 261k, and for every minute, that's another 150 points that you've taken away from them. So The Desert Altar, absolutely crucial, and this has been the main. By the way, we're talking about Desert Altar. Desert Altar flipped on the top side as well. So scrap everything mirrored. I just said. Everything's just mirrored. They are literally trading back and forth between these structures. God. This is insane. They got the Virgo garrison. It is going to get swarmed down.
It's almost same timing too, Plato. It's like, okay, you take our Sky Altar, we'll take your Desert Altar. Like, it's almost instantaneous too. It's not even that we're seeing like a lot of like time in between. It's almost just going one for one, trading blows.
You see the outposts, they're inverted as well. We have the top outpost. We have the Sky Altar flipping. Is the Sky Altar flip on the other side as well? Looks like that will be one of the things that isn't traded at the same time, but it is still two altars to two altars, just Sky Altars versus Desert Altars.
Mm-hmm.
The Shrine of Life looks like it is going to be swarmed down as well by 466W. Kind of a interesting mixed call here from them, but they did decide to swarm down regardless. Let's see where the main action is. It looks like it is on the Sky Altar up here. They have the Heraclius garrison in there, so killing it with anything, doing that AoE damage. But there are a lot of sad faces now coming out from 466W.
That is a structure that they are going to want to hold, considering that their home Desert Altar is generating points for their opponent in 261K. So they do want to hold on to the Sky Altar and have it try and start to generate some points for them here.
I think the problem for 466W is that the marches that are sad facing now are typically marches that would have been attacking or retaking the Desert Altar. But we've been talking about the discipline of 261K. And the marches that are just in the murder ball, just super low. The reason why it feels like 466W have been behind in tempo is because it's not their fault. It's not because they're at the wrong place at the wrong time. It's because 261K have not been allowing them to reset. Mm-hmm. They've been keeping those marches low, running away from them like it's a black plague, just trying to keep their distance like it's COVID all over again as we start to see this Sky Altar get sworn down. I will say that because of the sad face marches, you could see that those sad face marches are now coming towards the Desert Altar. So it will be a Desert Altar trade for the Sky Altar as we were talking about. But as you said, that Desert Altar rather has been generating points for 261K. So that will be a slight advantage. And that is reflected on the scoreboard. It is now a 1.6K lead, I believe. So just very slight deviations in between these two teams. But you could see the Desert Altar and Sky Altar take are literally 3 seconds apart from these teams. So
oh man, what a match. I mean, it's just a testament too, right? This is almost why you can see how much practice goes in for these Chinese server teams when they're kind of making moves and kind of flipping back and forth ever so quickly, and it being so landlocked right now besides that first arc, but everything just looking so similar on these teams is in my opinion a testament to how much these teams actually do practice.
Yeah, I mean, practice makes perfect for these teams. I'm looking at the one structure that is not the one major structure rather that is different between these teams. Everything else looking pretty normal as the arc was captured 24 minutes left until in this game, and the first arc was captured. Pretty unprecedented in Arc of Osiris, but I mean, now we are at this timer of 8 minutes for the second arc, and because of how even this game is, you could look at the score. It's 1.2K differential going towards 261K. So I think this second arc fight, this potential last arc fight, is gonna mean the game for either team here.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm curious too. I mean, generally you think that you have the arc, you just kind of run it down all the way towards the end. I'm curious as to the thought process behind the call to cash it. I think there was still a couple minutes left on that arc to cash. Any thoughts on that, Plato?
I think it's just off the tempo swings. Perhaps they're like, hey, there's a pendulum, right, where it's a back and forth between these two teams. And perhaps they're like, hey, we're pretty comfortable with where we're at, so we could attack, reset, and then go mid. So perhaps that's what happened. But we'll have to see if that'll pay off, because I mean, they are down 2 altars right now. I mean, two shrines right now, 640 points to 430.
Yeah, and in a match where, I mean, I think we look at the altars so heavily because they do generate so much points, and these shrines, and because the match is so close, these shrines are really going to start to play a part here on the point generation.
Yeah, we'll have to see how these points will be generated here, as we could start to see another assault on the desert altar. Again, this has been the structure for 261K that has this bottom side, rather, has been the point of attack for 466W, where they've been able to flip these structures of 261K.
Very similarly to Plato, as I'm kind of just glazing around as well. It's almost, it's so funny. Same time initiation on that top side sky altar too. So the initiation on this bottom side desert altar, and then we got the same exact exchange on that top side as well. It's just, it's amazing, amazing to see these teams going at it right now.
Yeah. I think this game really demonstrates top tier Osiris League, because you know, it's not just responding to your opponents, it's making your opponents respond to you. And both these teams have been, you know, taking... There hasn't been a team, in my opinion, that has more of an advantage versus another team. It's been a pretty back and forth between these two teams. Yeah,
I agree. And kind of what we were saying too, a little bit earlier in the match where 466W was a little bit on the back foot, like great response by them to your point, by not staying on that back foot too long, and then also just punching back and kind of evening that playing field with 261K.
Yeah, I mean, it is an absolutely treat of a match. You can see the sky altar, the ring of blue, looks like it is under heavy threat right now. As we can start to see, oof. Held again by 261K.
That's a crucial hold, especially with mid-arc rotations starting to come into the minds of these teams with about 4 minutes until. So really crucial hold here, especially kind of that importance that we talked about and what we see a lot in the international server of the importance of the outside lane structure, because it is so far away from that mid-arc.
Yeah, I mean, I think this pretty much encapsulates the game. The score is pretty much even in terms of points per minute, 560 to 590. Every structure outside of this one outpost generating points for their home team. The score being about 500 point differential. And now is the final mid fight.
I'm quite curious, Plato, and I'm a little nervous for this mid-arc fight with 466W having used just 2 skills. So I don't know if they're going to be going into this thing with the full 10 points, which is a little concerning. I'm not sure if that energetic is going to be able to build it back up in time.
Yeah, I mean, there is 3 minutes until this arc spawns. I will say that 466W have the first rotate for this mid fight. There are a lot of people from 261K going out to these outer lanes, so I actually think 261K are deciding to go buildings here.
Oh man, this is similar to what we saw with 732A, and oh my goodness, this is really like, I almost don't have words for it. Like, it's so cool to see that we're kind of like entering a new realm of a meta, I like to say. Like, we saw the effect yesterday of what it could have if you snag all 4 altars and can generate point. It totally nullifies an arc, especially only a second arc where it's 3,500 points.
Yeah, I mean, I will say there was a sentry to spot it out, so they see exactly what's going on. You could start to see that the marches that were rotating mid are now rotating to the Sky Altar. The marches that are mid currently are pushing up because they know that there aren't numbers for 261K, and this is unconventional strategies that we were warned about. As you can see, there is a lot of units. Sneaky tactics used by 466W. Sneaky tactics
boy.
in response from 261K. And Desert Storm used by 466W. So if you guys do not know, that takes away the stealth from 261K.
Brilliant counter.
So now the sneaky tactics of, hey, we're going to attack the marches, poke it out of stealth will not be in play. They are now swarming down the little semblance of resistance that 261K had. An absolutely huge play from 466W. And, you know, we saw, I believe it was 960 use Desert Storm yesterday against 732A. But the problem with 960 was they had everyone mid and they couldn't hold. I mean, the Sky Altar did fall, but they lost the Desert Altar as well, the Shrine of Life. They lost all their structures while everyone was mid. What's the difference for 466W is that they had sentries all over the place, so they could quickly respond to the structure focus that 261K has presented. So even though they have captured one of the structures, two of the structures, I don't know if this is enough to warrant giving up a free arc, and now their Desert Altar is under attack.
Yep. That Desert Storm play is proving to be huge. Depending on how you're using it, I saw it yesterday in the match that I casted with GV77 and 93T on the very first arc, and that Desert Storm kind of it wasn't the main determining factor in the mid fight, but man, does it really help when you can unveil those sneaky tactic troops.
Yeah, I mean, this Desert Altar will fall for 261K, so the building focus that they wanted to go not paying off. Master strategies used by 261K. There are no marches middle. There are no marches middle. The response is Master strategies. This double C is running for its life.
This is insane, Plato. This is absolutely nuts.
They have to start sprinting towards this arc carrier. It is getting so much ground. The reinforcements are now going to start sprinting towards this middle for 466W.
And the Desert Altar in hand for 261K. That arc carrier does not really have a close place to go right now.
They are walking closer and closer to this top side towards the outpost. Double C is running, is sprinting, but there are counter double C's making this arc carrier lower and lower and lower, and the arc has fallen.
Wow. Just as we were saying too, like we're not unsure if that was wise to give them that arc, and boom, here we go. Mass strategist play. We're still back in this thing.
The arc carriers though coming out for 466W. What a counter to the counter. I think 466W thought they were with the arc scot-free.
Absolutely.
When they countered the sneaky tactics, but little did they know 261K rather had another strategy in their back pocket, which is the master of strategies, teleporting the marches to the arc that was barely guarded. But I will say this is on to 466W's home turf. They have so much ground to make. The arc carrier running back through middle. In the meanwhile, 466W has taken the Desert Altar, so they are doing things on this bottom side of the map. You have to keep in mind, these 261K marches is the bottom side of their map. They came from the bottom side, which is why the structures in this bottom side are flipping. You can see the Desert Altar is taken. The Shrine of Life is under threat. They need to get this arc back so that They need to get this arc back and stabilize their structures, or else
The arc won't even matter.
if 466W is able to delay this arc for longer and take control of this bottom side of the map, it's going to be absolutely huge. But the Sky Altar, no, Sky Altar looks like it is fine as well. Overall, this is a huge play from 2661K. They have a point lead. They're up by 400 points. They have control of the arc.
This is madness, Plato. This is absolute madness. What a way to start the morning and to start the day on these Grand Prix matches.
Shout out to these two teams for waking me up. My goodness. Matt Desert Storm countering sneaky tactics into a master strategies play. You know what'd be crazy, Dirty Dan? You know what'd be crazy response?
Uh-oh.
A crazy response would be a response master strategy. 466W. If that happens, I just want to tell everyone I told you so. And oh my goodness.
It's on the board. It's on 466W has one skill left that we don't know. So it's definitely on the table to be at play here.
Oh my goodness. This is absolutely a wild game. You could start to see though that 466W are not going to let this arc kill for free. These units are not seen by 261K. This is 261K's vision. They do not see the units that are approaching next to this wall. Now they're starting to see them. Now they're starting to see that there is a contingent of 466W marches coming towards this arc. Luckily, they did have a lot of units around the Desert Altar now starting to rotate to the arc. The arc carrier was taken down, but another 261K march instantly able to pick it up. It is a double C with triple line, so should be speeding at home. You can see the streamline of marches for 466W still coming through. But with where the arc is now, I feel like 261K should be pretty comfortable with what they got going on.
Yeah, I agree. As we start to see some skills being thrown out there, I think now that response master strategist might be off the table with that that counter skill.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, with them using Bog down here, there probably is not a master strategist on their bar. I would assume it's a to the death. That they might have on their bar there, or Heaven's Grace, or something more standard. 261K's bar is crazy. They have sneaky tactics, they have master strategies, they have total vision, which isn't a skill that we see. It's a skill that's still used, but definitely lower in priority than it used to be with its nerfs. But it does look like these unconventional skills, the counter to the counter, will net them control of this arc.
I think that bog down too might turn into be a pretty nice play here, slowing down that arc carrier just enough, throwing the debuffs on the field to try and clear out some of these 261K marches, as 466, like you said, is not letting this thing go easily, and they are really trying to make a dive onto this arc, as it's must win right now.
It is must win for them because they know that, the structures have been so even. At this point, they're actually losing the structures. They lost their Shrine of Life. So if you look at the points differential, currently 30 points per minute difference between the two, that being the outpost, but the Shrine of Life not currently making points for them. Could start making points for 261K, which would be absolutely horrible for them. Let's see how the provisioners are looking for both teams here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 coming out from 261K. So they're pretty confident with this arc that they should be able to win. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out for 466W. I believe those provisioners, some of them have already come back home, so that's 1.8K of provisions for them.
So you're probably talking maybe at max, and this is best case scenario, maybe an extra 3K, 2.5 to 3K in the pocket, and that's kind of probably being a little bit generous there.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at the positives for 466W. They are up by 8K. I mean 800 rather. 800. I'm so used to saying Ks. They're up by 800 points. They've had provisioners out there for quite some time. They have more provisioners out there than 261K. But I don't know if that'll counteract the arc that 261K has. They need to flip these altars. They need to flip one of these altars somewhere. That would be minus 300 points. If they take both altars, that's minus 600 points at least for 261K. And then you go from there. But 261K know this and are sending all of their open field around this altar, around the rally, and just swarming down the rally as it goes. It's looking more and more bleak for 466W, who had control of the arc, had control of the game, but did not anticipate the massive strategies from 261K.
Yeah, and I think that's it's what you see from a champion, right? 261K, the champion of the realm of Anubis in the Chinese servers, and just kind of showing that that championship experience there with that master strategist play.
I mean, it's just such a roller coaster of emotions for 66W. They were, after they did that Desert Storm play, they started running marches to their home desert altar, started running marches to the opponent desert altar, with in their mind thinking we won the game, in the mind thinking that we won this arc, hence we should have control of this game. But that master strategy is just taking everyone for surprise.
I think international server teams really gotta start taking some notes, because I think from what we've seen last Osiris League, I think our international teams have gotten a little bit comfortable in terms of what the meta has been, right? And I think we've seen a little adaptation with 60GT and using like a stocking up strategy. But for the most part, I don't think we've seen anything like we've been seeing these past couple matches. With the 7-3-2A match yesterday, with this match today, we're just seeing a lot of different kind of plays and tactics here that we don't see in the international servers.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see how, again, the team that loses this game isn't out of the tournament. They are in the losers bracket, but you know who else is in the losers bracket, Dirty Dan?
The big boys.
We have the two Grand Prix finalists of last year. We have 489 and 60GT in the losers bracket versing each other. So you'll have to face one of those two teams, perhaps. You have GV77 in the losers bracket, and we have 1188. We have HJK in the losers bracket. So very, very strong teams waiting for the loser of this game in the losers bracket. My goodness, this tournament is absolutely stacked with Osiris League talent.
Stacked, and I think it's almost a testament. It kind of gives me for any American, I guess I should say, it's a little weird to say, but college basketball fans, the March Madness tournament always has some crazy things that happen in it, and this is giving me March Madness vibes right now, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Lilith and Razakinas for changing the format to a losers bracket, giving teams that one game to lose, making that second loss even more pressure for these teams. But overall, the arc was captured. That will be the final arc. There is a 2.5k point differential between these two teams, 2.7.
Yep.
I think that was provisioners that just came in. The structures for both these teams pretty much even. The only difference rather is this Huaki Bing running from outpost to outpost, desperately trying to deny as many points as possible and give some time for the gatherers that are just meandering out in the open field here. I mean, they do have some caravans that they can go into here, but you could see that 466W are just scrambling for points.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're trying to do everything that they can, and I think that's probably that's probably the biggest difference that we've seen in the points per minute battle. It's been like 30. It's been like an outpost at most for most of this match, which just tells you right there what the narrative of this match has been.
Yeah, I mean, this tournament has been blown wide open. what was perceived from the international server, at least, as, you know, two of the top three teams from the international server, 489, 60 GT, the finalists of last season, down to the losers bracket, 93T standing alone in the winners bracket, just holding it down for the international servers right now, as well as 27W, I believe, is the team that beats 489. But
yes,
yeah, these teams are gonna absolutely be a joy to watch, as we see there is an assault on this desert altar. It looks like it will be thwarted, and we're talking about scrambling for points. They took the obelisk, which gives 20 points per minute. Like they are trying to take as many structures away from each other as possible.
Yep, every little bit counts.
Every little bit counts. That's minus 40 points at least. So we'll have to see if that proves to be the difference. But this lead is continuing to grow. I think that is provision is coming home. 1K in provision so far for 261K, 2K in provisions for 466W.
Yeah, I think you're seeing here that although not as much, but you're seeing that kind of that trade-off, right? So it's only 1,000 points in positive provision points for 466W. 261K just trying to kind of negate any of the provisions that are coming in right now as we really wind down to the final minutes of this match.
I mean, there are a lot of provisions from 261K as well. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. The magic number of 15 provisioners is out there for 261K. Same amount as 732A yesterday, which ended up winning them 7K in provisions. I will say that 732A, there you go, the final skill, which is to the death, to be expected, was used in this bottom side. They used to the death on a shrine. That's how you know they are trying to capture the structure any means necessary. We had sneaky tactics used in response in this top side, and it looks like they are going to be going towards this desert altar with sneaky tactics, just trying to deny. There's only 1 minute left, trying to deny that 150 points from their opponents.
Yeah, might as well. Don't leave any skills on the board. You might as well.
Oh my goodness. We have, I mean, the gather should start coming back soon. We are now at 3.4 to 2.1. Dust up used by 466W. So just using up as many skill points as possible. They are now out of stealth, swarming the desert altar.
Chat with the good call out to the death on the shrine is wild.
I mean, you gotta take your wins whether you can. 466W. I mean, you're praying that your gatherers are god tier and saying, please give us 3K. It's not even 3K points, it's 3K difference compared to the 261K gatherers. And 261K gatherers have been gathering up at Storm as well. I mean, we called out there are 15 gathers that are out in the map. We have 20 seconds until.
I think one quick thing to call out, Plato, I just noticed 466W has been playing with the man down. Only 29 players. Curious to see if that one extra player would have made a difference here.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So they are playing with the man down. Perhaps they lost the arc and he rage quit. They're like, we're done. But GG's to 261K.
What a great first match.
Absolute masterclass, even out provisioning 466W. And if you like more Grand Prix content, be sure to subscribe to this channel. That'll be it from Dirty Dan and I. We will be streaming later on, I believe, at 14 UTC. But in the meanwhile, there is another match that is being casted by our boys Chiskel and Brian Koo. So I'm gonna go ahead and raid them and send you guys over there. And Dirty Dan and I will catch you guys next time. Be sure to subscribe to this channel. Be sure to subscribe to our channels if you enjoyed the commentary. Links in the description. And we'll catch you guys next time. Peace.